Action.
You didn't give me my battle rap name.
You gotta come up with a battle rap name.
I can't
You the
come
battle
up with a
rapper.
battle rap name right now.
I say your favorite battle rapper quote.
First, I would love to show off my dress.
Talk to him. Talk to him. Do you think they consider this
Or
clothes?
whatever.
You still busting out. It don't matter what you do.
I know. You know, I'm
It's
just...
part of being fine.
I'm that girl.
Exactly.
All right, babe, can you come introduce our fourth show for us? Me.
Okay. Buddha's Candy, episode 4. Today I will be the sous chef. This will be our host and chef for today.
Yeah.
You ready to do this?
Yeah. I'm actually kind of nervous.
Of course you are. Because the only thing I do want to say before I play the background and get in my Stedman bag, it's been a long journey from you saying, I can't cook, and thinking I was going to feel the way about it, not even knowing I was a whole chef. And now you to the point where you can make things well enough to teach other people who don't know what you're about to make,
Yeah.
who probably think they can't do this. You about to inspire them like I was able to inspire you. So without further ado, go ahead and get to it. I'm here if you need me. Your host for this evening.
Hey, everybody. So, as you all know, well, you don't know, I'm about to make chicken noodle soup the vegan way, all right? As you all know, I am an intuitive guide, emotional alchemist. This just means that I help guide people through their emotions and their emotional trauma. One of the things that I always get my clients to understand is healing is not just about the emotions, it's all of the aspects that play into the emotions, and food is one of those things. There's no such thing as healing emotional trauma without also healing spiritually, and then also getting into the anatomy, and then also getting into food and how those things directly play on the emotions. So for me, I've been able to lose 66 pounds, and a lot of that had to do with the change in my diet because I was a pizza type of girl. I love pizza. Also, not only was I eating a pint of ice cream a day, sometimes it was 2 pints of ice cream a day.
What was your favorite?
Haagen-Dazs double chocolate chip. I knew where it was on sale, how long it was going to be on sale, and which location it was on sale at. But that was an indication of my addictive behaviors to foods, my unhealthy balancing of foods, and my emotional eating, which a lot of people, a lot of women, typically deal with that type of emotional eating. So what happens when you transition over to being vegan, you want to still experience the same flavors without the guilt. And that was my thing. I still needed a way to experience the same flavors, the same textures, without having to feel so bad afterwards. So chicken noodle soup was something my husband made for me while in New Jersey. We were still long distance at the time. I had a fever of 103. And he made chicken noodle soup for me and nursed me back to health. And when he made it, I was like, God, dog, it tastes good. And I've been trying to perfect it since then. The start of my journey attempting to make it, you can go on my Instagram account at candice.love to look at what it looked like when I first made it. I had a lot of stuff in there. Like I said in the last video, I had everybody and their mama in my chicken noodle soup. This is a shortened version of what you need in comparison to what I had, which is what you don't need. So we have our celery, we have our carrots, we have onions, shallots, green onions, and then here is a mixture of the different types of seasonings that I like to use. There's nutritional yeast. There's a seasoning. If you live in Houston, you can go to HEB, and it is titled chicken noodle soup. And so this is the one seasoning mixed with the others that has really been able to give me the flavor that I want, that feels just like the nostalgic chicken noodle soup that I had when I was younger. On top of that, we have the bay leaf, and then we have the thyme. I love thyme. This is actually a lot of thyme. I love thyme, so I use as much of that as I can. And then we have our organic noodles. I typically don't use noodles in my soup anymore, but for the sake of this video, because you all will be using the noodles, I'm sure, I wanted to have those in just so it feels like the full picture of nostalgia. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I ain't gonna talk y'all to death. And we're gonna go ahead and put our pot on. And then from there, we're just gonna go ahead and put a little water in our pot. So a lot of people may use oil. Sometimes I even use butter. Remember, there's absolutely no fat in this. Because there's no fat, it is okay to use vegan butter if you choose to. Sometimes I do, actually most time I do. But for this sake, I'm just gonna use water. Essentially, it's the same thing. And so I'm gonna put the water in. The water is just to coat the pan or pot or whatever this would be considered. And this is so once I put in my thyme, it has, aromatics?
Aromatics.
The aromatics can now come out. So I typically mix the thyme. And I know some people actually pull the thyme off the stem. I don't do that because I don't have the patience to do that. And then sometimes all of it doesn't come off. So I put the whole stem in. I'd rather just bring the whole stem out when I finish. So I put the thyme in. And then with the thyme, I also go ahead and put in my onions. And then I go ahead and put in my shallots. I don't typically put in my green onions just yet. My purpose is to allow these to marry, as my husband would say.
Talk to him, Slim.
So while this just has an opportunity to mix in the flavors from the onions, the flavors from the shallots, and the flavors from the thyme, they have the ability to come out, which is what aromatics, I'm assuming that's what aromatics mean, okay?
I like the little spirit fingers.
Yeah, you know, it's bringing it out. As I do this, it's bringing it out. It's bringing it into fruition. We manifest it.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So what do you notice as far as when you used to use pretty much all dry herbs as opposed to the fresh?
Oh, man. So I had one situation. I went to the grocery store, and they didn't have fresh thyme. So I used the dry thyme. I'm still learning how to cook. Remember, I'm very new to this. I got about 3 things under my belt that I have the capacity to cook with a lot of knowledge. So I didn't know that dry thyme and fresh thyme is not the same thing. When I use the fresh thyme, you instantly taste the difference. If you use fresh thyme, you will taste the difference, how it's more subtle, it's more easeful, it's more flow. And then also we want to get to a place to where we are using things that are clearly in their natural form. We don't get into does it have a seed? And we're not getting into all of those different aspects of healing and food because we want to keep things simple for our chicken noodle soup. All right now, everything is marrying pretty well. Because I use water, I still want to make sure that nothing is burning. So I'm just going to keep moving this around just a little bit, still allowing all of those flavors to come out. Moving things around so nothing sticks to the pot and still giving it the opportunity to do what it do. A lot of people ask me questions about how I was able to lose 66 pounds. And I lost my 66 pounds pretty quickly. A lot of that was emotional weight, which is something that I've always spoken about. When it comes to emotional trauma, the second you start to release the baggage that is being held in the body, the energy of the trauma that's being stored in the kidneys, in the liver, all of these aspects of your being, of your emotional being, once you start to release those things, the body no longer has a reason to constrict. It now has the capacity to also let go of what you need or what you don't need. So for a lot of people who think that they're holding on to fat, for the most part, it's not fat. It's emotional debris that's asking to be expressed and released from the body. When you give yourself permission to go to therapy, to have sessions with someone like my husband or myself, and you really start doing the healing work, the weight that you are holding on to, the body doesn't need it anymore. It doesn't need fat to be a protector. Now it can use food to be a protector, and it knows that you're going to protect yourself. All right, so now that these, I feel, have had some time to go ahead and marry, to have, how would I say aromatics in past tense? To aromatize?
We gonna go with that.
Yeah. So now that everything has had the ability to aromatize,
New word.
right? We're gonna go ahead and add in our celery and our carrots. And so the water inside the pot is sizzling, not boiling, it's sizzling. We're gonna add these things in because we wanna give them the opportunity to also release whatever liquid they need to release, and then give them the opportunity to break down a little bit. So this is actually a lot of celery, and it's a lot of carrots.
It's just enough. Cause you
Yeah.
know that thing go.
This is so
that thing
true.
go fast.
This chicken noodle soup that I make goes really, really fast. I mean, no matter how much I make, it still will only last us about 2 days. So possibly 3. So we're just gonna mix this in. Get those onions from the bottom because we don't want those onions to burn.
And with the emotional weight, like you was talking about, as far as I remember, you wasn't even going to the gym like that, correct?
Correct. So when I lost the 66 pounds of emotional weight, one of the things that I did was change my eating. I'm an advocate of juicing. I also do my blender a lot, so I have a lot of smoothies. But then also I had things that didn't require my body to do a lot of digestive work. And then on top of that, people are asking, what is your workout routine? I'm the type of person, when I go to the gym, I am only working out for 30 minutes. And this looks like doing things that best resonate with my spirit and no longer forcing myself into submission. I'm prior military and I'm prior police. I had 10 years in the military, 7 years as a police officer. So working out hard was always something that was instilled in me, trying to burn 600 calories every time I went to the gym, doing spin classes, CrossFit. And I recognized when I really started taking my healing seriously, I'm not forcing myself into submission anymore. I'm not doing anything that is difficult on my body. I'm listening to what my body is asking me for. And when I listen to what my body is asking me for, it naturally adapts and does what I need it to do. My body asks me for 10 minutes on the treadmill running. Sometimes I'll do sprints. And then I have another 10 minutes of doing heavy weights because I enjoy doing heavy weights. And then another 10 minutes in the sauna because I love to have that relaxation after the fact. That is the only thing that I did maybe 3 times a week so that I could get in a space of loving my body. I did not do this so I could lose weight. I had been trying to lose weight for years, but this wasn't done for me to lose weight. This was done so I could actually build a relationship with my body. So this is still working its way down, but I still don't want anything to stick to the pot. So I'm just gonna keep moving it around. Turn my heat up just a little bit.
You heard my thought.
Turn my heat up. Okay. And so keep in mind, y'all, I don't use this burner, so all of this is off top. I'm doing my best, okay? So that is still marrying. And then once I feel like this has had enough time, I'm gonna go in with my water and then we're gonna bring it to a boil. Soup should not take long. This is a very, very easy process and it shouldn't take a lot of time because all of this was cut up beforehand to save time. And the it pretty much cooks itself. It just needs you to be there to nurture it. And that is pretty much the basis of all of my message. The body is asking for you to spend time nurturing it. It's not asking you to force anything into submission.
Yeah, excuse me, you did this the other day, not realizing how little time you had, and you had to do it in 20 minutes before your client.
Right.
And it still got done, and you was able to just let it simmer until you was done with your client.
Yeah. Yep. It only took me 20 minutes. And I think the first time I made it, it took forever. And it was simply because I had no rhythm yet. I didn't really know what was happening with the food. I didn't really understand the time and when to put that in and what aromatics was. I didn't really understand that. But now that I have more of a better understanding, it's a lot easier to get straight to the point in making this.
Another question too, as a new chef, I'm assuming your first time making this or the things that you know how to make now, there was a certain level of anxiety before you make it for the first time. Does that disappear?
Okay, so yes and no. Like right now, I'm extremely
Well,
nervous.
you filming, it don't count right now.
Yeah, right. But when I'm making it, I got my music playing and all of those things. I'm transmuting the anxiety, and this is what we mean when we say emotional alchemist: is having the capacity to transmute emotion. So if I do have anxiety from cooking because I don't want to mess up, I want to make sure I get it right because I'm hungry and I'm trying to eat as soon as it finishes. When you are in a great emotional space when you are eating, that energy goes into the food. You are transmuting it and you're setting the intention and you're pouring that intention into the food. So even if I do feel some sort of anxiety, I have the capacity to transmute that because I made juices before and I was upset, emotionally unbalanced or not regulated. And I taste the juice and I'm like, dang, this is not good. But then when I'm in a very beautiful mood, I taste the exact same juice and it feels so beautiful. It tastes so beautiful. So there's another study. What's the name of the guy that did the study with the water?
See, hold on, I gotta come on real quick.
I can't remember his name.
He
remembers his name.
This is why we married, because I'm literally sitting here like as soon as she finished with what she's saying, I gotta come talk about that. So the brother's name is, we always say, while I'm here, I might as well multitask. But the brother's name is Dr. Emoto. That's spelled, my bad. Dr. Emoto is E-M-O-T-O. You can check it out on YouTube. There's documentaries on it. It's called the Crystal Water Experiment. And what he did was he was able to heal over 20,000 people of all different ailments with intention-infused water, meaning the experiment would be he would have water in different cylinders. He would have words written on the water, or he would have a group come in and think either a loving word or a negative word. And when he would take the water, take it to the lab, he would flash freeze it. All the negativity, water, if you will, it would be like an amorphous blob type of shape when you looked at it at the atomic level. The loving type of water, it will have like perfect crystalline snowflake shapes. And once he started to realize that, he started to literally use this water to heal people. So of course, when you're working with vegetables, high water content. So you're able to infuse those intentions just with the vibe, the music, what you think about the food, all that goes into it.
Right. And so you also have to remember with Dr. Emoto, the study that he did was based on the intention poured into water. In other cultures, they don't drink water as soon as they buy it. Well, typically they would get water from a well. They would never drink water as soon as they would buy it or get it from the well because water holds memory. That's why when Dr. Emoto did the experiment, if he spoke anger into the water, that's what it would look like. It would look ugly. And I'll post pictures stitch pictures into this video so you guys will be able to see the differences of what it looked like when a person felt or spoke into the water something happy or something angry. The reason why this is so interesting and why it's necessary for you to know is because we are over 90% water. So if water holds memory, The thoughts that you speak are directly affecting the cells, the DNA, and the makeup of the body. The intention that you have in regards to anything that you do is directly affecting the cells and the makeup of the body. Because we hold so much water in us, there's also a saying how the moon directly affects the ocean. This is because water holds memory, and we want to remember that when we're making things that also hold memory, because we have the capacity to stitch in our intention. So that goes with any water that you drink, whether you buy it from the store. You have no idea how happy or how angry the person was that was working the machine. You have no idea how angry or how happy the person was that was driving the truck that brought the water to the store. So you have to set your intentions and pour your intentions into the water. I'm so glad you thought about that, because I definitely forgot.
So what we're using for our meat?
So I'm gonna go ahead and add in the water, because this has done what it's supposed to do. So I bring my water up. Do you have the phone, baby? I bring my water up typically based on however much soup I want and however much broth I want. So if I want a lot of broth, I'm gonna pour in a decent amount of water. So right now the water is kind of covering the soup. I wanna bring my water up way more, because I'm sure my husband is gonna have this at some point. And then honestly, that's not even enough, because it's a lot of vegetables in here. So this should be enough when it comes to the broth. And then we want this to come to a boil. So I'm gonna turn my water up even more. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my bay leaves. I have 2 bay leaves, and I'm gonna go ahead and put those in there as well. I do not add any seasoning until I'm completely done, because you can add, but you can never take away. When it comes to the chicken part of the chicken noodle soup, we are using what is this?
Royal
King Trumpet.
Yeah, King Trumpets.
We are using King Trumpet. And so I'm gonna also record while my husband is doing it, because y'all need to see it. All right, so this is what the King Trumpet mushroom looks like. And it has a beautiful texture. Hold on, let me come around, because they're not gonna be able to see that.
And usually we would have added this earlier, but that's the thing, soup is so forgiving that even if you forget, you can still throw it in there. It's still gonna cook down and get the flavors.
Right. So this is the King Royal Trumpet mushroom, and it has a beautiful texture. So typically when you eat chicken noodle soup, you wanna have the chicken in there, but because we're vegan, we substitute the chicken with these mushrooms. Now, you don't always have to do that. A lot of eating, what I've been learning, is having the capacity to know what your body needs, what is necessary, and what's not. So mushrooms have beautiful sources of all of the things that you need as far as being healthy, whatever aids in like digestion.
Mushrooms, great for the brain, synapses in your brain,
Specifically the brain, We'll have a mushroom steak with lion's mane that is really good for cognitive function. But this has that texture that will really remind you of the meat. Mm-hmm. And it comes off. Hey, yo. It comes off the way that when you skin it, it comes off in shreds. So it's still really, really beautiful. And you'll be able to, it doesn't have any taste either. So whatever taste you put to it, that is what it becomes. That's what it begins to taste like.
And if y'all wanted to do bigger chunks, you would be able to do that. It's really up to you. Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes I use it. Most times I don't, because remember, I'm someone who is still evolving on my healing journey. So more than anything, there's flavors that I'm specifically looking for. And also, I'm also looking to make sure that my digestive system is not functioning in a way to where it has to struggle. I don't want my digestive system to struggle. And based on my eating patterns, when they aren't balanced, sometimes my digestive system will. So one of the things that I do is I make sure that I have monthly colonics. Sometimes it's even bi-weekly colonics, because like my husband said in his last video, the average person is holding about 25 pounds of feces in their stomach. And so you have to make sure that you get those things out, because if you're not eating right, you're not thinking right. This is our first brain. So if this is not in optimal shape, how you think is not correct. How you respond is not healthy. The emotions that you feel, this could directly be holding the depression that you are experiencing. It may be coupled with things that are happening in life, but when you have a diet that is supporting you emotionally, when your gut is supporting you emotionally based on the things that you're eating, so it doesn't have to digest foods and really have that forced sensation of just trying to force the body to operate optimally, then you can feel and look in a way that makes you feel good in your life. So this is the mushrooms. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in. Typically, we do not cut them like this. Typically, they're cut like this, because this is what is going to resemble the chicken. So I'm gonna start with those pieces, because when it's time for me to eat them, I'm a very picky eater as well. So if it don't look right, if it look like my food is touching, all of those things, it just doesn't work for me. And so if you one of those people who like your food to touch, you don't care what it look like as long as it tastes good, more power to you. I'm the one. It needs to look right and it needs to taste right, and the texture needs to be on point. So I'm just kind of picking these apart, so when it's time for me to eat it, I don't gag. I just started eating.
It's a time and place for everything.
Yeah, not him calling me fresh, and he over here talking like that. I just started eating avocado. Right? Remember when I couldn't even allow myself to eat avocado because of the texture, but now I eat avocado in my my salads. Not by itself though. I ain't there yet. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put these pieces in. Yep. And so back to those colonics, if you are someone who is experiencing acne, if you are someone who is experiencing emotional depression, anxiety, start by paying attention to what you are eating. Start by paying attention to what you are putting in your body. It directly affects the emotion, and it directly affects the person that you are. Your spiritual ability, your ability to manifest, all of that has everything to do with if you are clogged internally. Most people are clogged internally with the food that they eat. On top of that, they're clogged internally with the emotions that they refuse to express. So there is no such thing as being on a spiritual or emotional healing journey and you are not giving yourself permission to acknowledge all of the components that aid in the spiritual healing journey, which looks like the anatomy, metaphysics, food, emotions, psychology. All of those things are parts of the journey that we have to become passionate about doing research on. All right, so I'm just putting in these last bits and pieces, and then we're just gonna let this come to a boil.
And what say you about, the sticklers and the food, vegan, plant-based nerds, if you will, that's going to tell you carrots is a hybrid. Celery is not on Dr. Sebi's list. What say you to those people?
Right. So first, we are not Dr. Sabians. We respect Dr. Sebi, especially all that he had and still has after his passing to contribute to the wealth of knowledge that we have as far as healing. And then also acknowledging we still got to eat. I was one of those people who wanted to heal, grow, and evolve so bad, but I was so frustrated because every time I tried to find something to eat, they were like, oh no, you can't eat that. It's a hybrid. It doesn't have seeds. It doesn't grow naturally. And so then it kind of leads you to the point, well, God dog, what can I eat? And so that's a very frustrating place to be in when you don't know what you can eat and you are following something that is so strict, and the things that you can eat, you really don't even have a taste for. A part of transitioning the lifestyle is still having the capacity to replicate flavors, textures, and foods that feel good to you. So when we talk about transmuting energy, I also mean not just transmuting and alchemizing energy of the emotions, the things that we put into our body. Even with my skincare products, I put intentions on the back of them. So one intention may be, when you use this product, you deserve to heal, and this product is going to infuse nothing but love into your heart. Because when a person receives anything, it has its own energy attached to it. We have to stand firm in our power and remember who we are and the things that we're capable of. And so that is also remembering that we have the capacity to transmute any energy with anything. So even if you have a hybrid of carrots, you still have the capacity to tell that carrot what you want it to do in your body. If you have the hybrid or celery, whatever food it is, all of the food got pesticides on it. Whether it's organic, whether it's not organic, they are still modifying our foods in a way that we don't have power over. So if you're not growing your own food, you don't really have say of what is introduced to it and what is on it. And so you have to transmute that energy, and you tell that food what you want it to do in the body. Don't you say your prayers before you eat your food? Weren't you raised, God, please bless my food, please let it be nourishment of the body? That is another way of just saying that I am giving the intention that I want of what I want this food to do in my body. So even your prayer is how you transmute that energy. So we don't get stuck on, if it got seed. Now watermelons, you do want your watermelons to have seeds.
Yeah, we do our best.
Yeah. You want your watermelons to have seeds. Am I going to fault you if you choose to eat a watermelon that doesn't have seeds? Absolutely not, because you still need the hydration. So everything serves a purpose when it's supposed to serve a purpose. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my flavors. Nutritional yeast.
Oh, nutritional yeast.
This is mostly nutritional yeast, and then the chicken noodle soup flavor seasoning that I have. And that's pretty much it. We try to keep this as simple as possible. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put this seasoning in there. This is not a lot of salt at all. I have the salt to the side because I will add the salt at the end. Okay, so we already added our seasoning in there. And we're gonna go ahead and mix this around. The turmeric is not for any reason, just to make it a little bit yellow so it can have that nostalgic color.
Say yellow again?
Yellow. So I don't add a lot of turmeric. I just need it to have that color so it feels like real chicken noodle soup.
Color already changing.
Yeah, you do not want to go crazy with the turmeric. We're just using this as a colorant, to be honest. All right. And again, this is a pretty big pot because this is gonna be for my husband and I at some point. Yep, the color is already changing. And it's a lot, so it hasn't come to a boil just yet. And I'm gonna go ahead and taste it just to see if this is where I want it to be. Now, okay, let's say this. Some people like to use the broth. That is fine. Remember, I am using my own seasonings. So I have the chicken noodle soup season, I have the nutritional yeast, and whatever other seasonings best resonate with my spirit. So you are going to have to check in with your spirit to decide what you want to use as far as broth. Maybe you want to use broth, maybe you don't want to use water. I personally don't like the taste that broth gives my chicken noodle soup. So I don't use it. There's another thing that my husband introduced in the last video, which is bouillon. That's what it's called, right?
Better than bouillon.
Better than bouillon, which has a lot of chicken noodle soup flavoring to it, if you want to be honest about it. It has a sodium content that can be high, but if you use it the right way, it'll still give you that chicken noodle soup flavor. I only don't use that. In the beginning I did, but now I don't, because I was able to create the type of seasonings all together that best resonate with me. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of Italian seasoning to it. Just a little bit of Italian seasoning. This is gonna give it, like, you know, a little fresh.
Pop.
Yeah, a little pop. Let me put that in my hand, because I don't want to mess up.
Oh, they about to go off on you.
They are. Lord. You know what? On YouTube, yeah, it smells great. YouTube is a different world, because this is a world where people feel safe enough to say whatever they want to say, and you can, but there is a way to say things to where you remain respectful. And YouTube is either full of love or it's the complete opposite. So it's okay to just allow people to do things that best resonate with them without also giving your opinion. And then you have Instagram and TikTok, where it's just so loving and supportive. You come to YouTube, you better be ready. You never know what they're going to give you. All right, so we're just going to let that simmer. Actually, let me taste it.
And while you're doing,
because I want to make sure my seasoning is good, to see if I need to add anything or add any salt.
there you go, blowing it.
This is actually really good already. I like a little spice to my seasoning as well. I am going to add some salt to this. This is pink Himalayan salt.
No,
Not
it's
that much salt.
ancient sea salt.
What is it?
Ancient sea salt.
Ancient
yeah, we moved
sea
away
salt.
from pink Himalayan.
Gotcha.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
A lot of y'all been asking about herbal chemistry, who I always reference. He gives me a lot of the tips and tools that I then give to y'all. So keep hitting me up. I'll send you his information. But I just wanted to say, like, you know, I'm like, I guess more, I don't know if strict is the right word, but I have a certain like way I approach food. And a lot of times, whoever is in a relationship, it could be father, daughter, mother, son, spouse, somebody will have a certain level of information and may have more experience, and they forceful with it, right? So I advocate, especially y'all that's in relationships, if you're vegan, you plant-based, or whatever it may be, a lot of times we could be pushy with it, and we want people to do things exactly how we do things. So I think it's beautiful that, you know, I'm proud of myself in allowing you your own pace and allowing you your own style and how you do things, and not butting into what works for you. I think that can go for the entire vegan community. That can be very obnoxious at times. Just have grace and understand everybody's body is different. It may not be the pristine level of health according to you, but it's what their spirit is telling them they need in the moment. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to remember, when you force your ideologies on a person, you rob them of the opportunity to evolve to that level of their being on their own. Sometimes people need to be in a place to where they're making unhealthy decisions. Sometimes they need the repercussions of their unhealthy decisions, because the repercussions are what are going to help them evolve into naturally showing up to honor themselves the right way. Whereas when you force someone to do things that you want them to do, or you guilt them or you shame them into doing things the way that you want them to do it, they may do it to appease you, but it's not a behavior that actually resonates with their body. So they will sneak and do things when you're not there. They will sneak and eat foods or behave in certain ways when you're not there. Or when you're no longer in the picture at all, they'll still revert back to who they really are. They were just attempting to please you. So we always want to advocate for allowing people to arrive to these places of evolution on their own. One thing that my husband always does for me is he will make suggestions. He will show me different options, but he will never judge my decisions. He will never make me feel bad for my decisions. The only time he will ever comment on something that I'm eating, like the other day, I found this organic I found this organic cereal that pretty much is like Cocoa Krispies, which was one of my favorite cereals. And I have
You are transitioning.
recovered from addictive behaviors.
Right.
I'm also 5 years sober from alcohol addiction as well. So the water is actually coming to a boil. So now I'm going to bring this all the way down and allow it to simmer. Yep, we just need that to simmer. So I'm a person who is recovering from addictive personality, which means escapism is a part of any type of addictive personality, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's smoking, whether it's traveling, whether it's working, it doesn't matter. So my addictive personality went from alcohol addiction to unbalanced relationships with food. If I like it, I'm gonna eat it until I can't stand it no more. And I can eat the same thing every day. I'll never get tired of it. That's why I've perfected chicken noodle soup, because I'll never get tired of it. But I had this cereal that I found, and it tastes just like Cocoa Krispies. And my husband, I know when he watching me, and I just be like, still gonna eat my Cocoa Krispies. He ain't said nothing yet.
And it's pretty clean.
It is. It's actually really, really clean, but it tastes good. But when I have something that I really like, it becomes the only thing that I eat. And so I think it was yesterday, I was probably like on my 4th day of only eating Cocoa Krispies in the organic vegan way. And he was like, okay, what else are you gonna eat? What are you gonna eat that actually has some nutritional value? And that is his way of acknowledging you are becoming dependent on the Cocoa Krispies, and you have the ability to eat other foods that you really like. But sometimes I forget that I like other foods because the cravings and the addictive personality to certain foods makes me want things that resemble when I was eating unhealthy. So sugar, pizza, whatever other foods it was that I was eating that kind of had me in those uncomfortable places that helped me gain the 66 pounds. So my husband is someone who will acknowledge that he sees a difference in my pattern of eating. He'll bring that to my attention, and then he'll say something like, what are we gonna make today? Are you gonna eat soup today? Go ahead and eat a banana. He'll bring me fruit. Now I'm always making us green juices, but I'll make them and I'll forget to drink them. So he'll bring me the green juice. He'll go outside, get our coconuts, and make me the coconut water. So we always want to have someone who is supporting us properly in the way that we need and in the way that resonates with our spirit, and not forcing us into submission based on what resonates with them.
Yeah, we got an episode on our podcast called Reparenting Your Spouse.
You should come in the video.
Hey, yo. We got an episode on our podcast called Reparenting Your Spouse, so we dig into that. We actually got a few episodes where we do touch on that, but reparenting our spouse, I think, is when we really get into the depth of that conversation.
Yeah. So can you tell them, I've been very open about how in our relationship you've reparented me in very beautiful ways. Mm-hmm. Can you speak about what that looks like to you? First, what did it even feel like the first time I told you that you were reparenting me? What did that feel like to hear that? Because normally when someone in a relationship gives you guidance, not tells you what to do, but gives you guidance, they be like, you ain't my daddy, don't tell me what to do, right? But then to some degree, we search for our parents in relationships, that leadership, that guidance. So I've always acknowledged that you were reparenting me and really helping me grow into a woman. What did that feel like? I'm
gonna speak for myself, but also a lot of brothers I speak to. In my counseling sessions, I run a bunch of different men's groups. Shout out to the King Cave IG Live series we do every first Thursday of the month.
Everybody be on there.
Everybody be in there. I have Melanated Dads, and then I'm involved with a lot of other men's groups. So across the board, I say that to say men don't always get the opportunity to have our word our guidance listened to, invited. A lot of times they don't even be invited, so we'll have knowledge in a particular area, but for whatever reason, men and especially black men, sometimes it's difficult for our women, for our family, for our kids to acknowledge we do know what we're talking about in certain areas. So you was actually the first woman ever, including family members, who actually allowed me to impart in the ways that I do. And I've been able to practice that skill of the dance between not pushing this, but suggestivity and then falling back. And you've allowed me to exercise being a better guide, not just with my clients, not just with myself, but of course with my wife. So you opened up a certain part of my heart that was longing to be needed, that was longing to be allowed to let that aspect of the love I have to offer open up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, baby.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, so I feel like I need just a little bit of my other seasoning. I'm gonna put this top back on. We're pretty much done. Oh, our noodles. The other thing, noodles. I typically don't use noodles because my digestive system is recovering. So like I said, I always get colonics. That gives me the opportunity to release all of the things from my colon that no longer serves my being, helping my body process things that are still present. And so I'm really mindful of what is going to digest, how long it would take to digest, and what is my digestion process actually going to affect. Typically, my digestion process goes straight to my skin. Remember, when you have pimples on your skin, you don't just have pimples. Those are indications that your body is not, it needs help in nurturing and processing. So your cheeks is a certain specific organ. Your chin is a specific organ. Your forehead is a specific organ. One organ is the kidneys, one organ is the liver, one organ is the stomach, one is the gut, one is the colon. So one is the heart. So you're gonna have to go into face mapping. You can Google face mapping, and it'll tell you when you have acne that shows up on your face, what is directly linked to within the body. And so having the wherewithal to know how long it's gonna take food to digest, and then if digestion does take long, what's actually being affected? My under eyes get darker when my digestion is struggling. On top of that, emotionally, I may be more emotional in moments where my body is struggling to process food. Mm-hmm. So now we have to be mindful of the foods we're eating, and based on how easeful or how difficult it'll be for our bodies to finally process it and get it out. So I don't use a lot of noodles at all. Typically, I don't use noodles, but we're using things right now because we want to remember that this is a nostalgic meal. Take what you need, leave what you don't.
And the noodles that's going in there, I'll probably absorb those. My digestive system is a little bit more experienced,
Absolutely.
I'll say. So it's easy to still be able to cook for both with this meal. The partner that may not want the noodles, even though they're gluten-free, you just get a little spatula with the drains in it and scoop the noodles to the side.
Yep. So I'm also going to take out one of my carrots. Actually, I don't even have to take it out. I just needed to know if my carrots were done all the way through. Mm-hmm. We don't want the carrots or the celery to be mushy, mm-hmm. because we still want it to maintain its nutritional value. So now I've gone ahead and I cut it off, and we're just gonna go ahead and put this in, and I'm gonna bring it to the side because this doesn't need fire. It's gonna go ahead and wilt anyway in the heat. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and mix this in. Okay, and I'm gonna bring this over. If you are someone who is in Houston, I know a lot of y'all is like, well, I want the chicken noodle soup flavor. I want to be able to taste that seasoning that you used. If you're in Houston, you can go to a H-E-B and you can get this seasoning. But for everyone else, you still have your onions, you have your shallots, you have the different things that you can utilize that still gives you that flavor. But my seasoning mix just feels like chicken noodle soup to me. Everybody's chicken noodle soup don't taste the same. So you get to decide what seasonings best resonate with you to give you that chicken noodle soup feel. All right, I am going to cover this so those noodles can do what they do. And I guess it's time to go ahead and plate. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and plate. So I like to get a lot of broth. Really, I'm not even gonna be eating the contents because it's gonna be too hot. My main thing is knowing if my broth was good enough. So I'm gonna stop here. Cover that. Get my spoon. Anytime I watch cooking videos, you make cooking videos and you don't taste your food at the end, I feel like you robbed me. You gotta taste your food at the end, and you gotta like, cause my husband, he tastes his food and then he do a step back. Like it's just the most fire thing in the world. So I'm gonna taste my food and I'm gonna see what I do after I taste mine.
Hold up. All right, I'm ready for you. Did the James Harden?
No, I did the Dr. Diggler, the Brick City Buddha. This is fire. And especially for wintertime, you want to have that nostalgic feeling. This broth is so good. Even if you didn't have the contents that are inside, the broth itself is so good and it's filling as well. So that's all, y'all. My husband is going to show you how he plates his, and we're done. Thank y'all for being here.
So I'm gonna do a super small amount because I had lunch already. I like to put some type of greens in mine. That's rocking. Excellent job. I taught you well. Let's see, I got my noodle. All right, I got my little spinach in there, a little pop of green.
There you go. That a step back is, y'all. You gotta have a step back.
And I'm smacking, so y'all know what time it is.
I'm telling y'all, I make the best chicken noodle soup ever.
I taught you well. Fire. All right. We'll see y'all on the next one. Happy
All right,
Thanksgiving.
y'all. Thank y'all for being present for my first video. Thank y'all for holding space for me. Make this. If you do make it, tag us on Instagram. Let us know how you like it. And if you in Houston, go to HEB. It's called Chicken Noodle Soup. Talk to y'all soon.
Now you can go be regular.